Today I am going to continue with the series on kinship studies, and the title of my lecture is Family, Household and Domestic Group. Just to kind of understand that family, household and domestic group are very central concepts in understanding kinship and family, kinship, marriage, family, which was one of the core courses in sociology, in the discipline of sociology. So in this lecture today, I am going to make an attempt to understand family, household and domestic group. What is generally in a commonsensical layman understanding, the three concepts are taken to be synonymous. But from a sociological anthropological perspective, it's very important to maintain that the three concepts are not synonymous and has a different meaning and a different implication when we understand society from the perspective of anthropology and sociology. So to start off, we'll see that in the kind of family is a very ambiguous term, and there is no such clear single definition of family. It is kind of understood in a very broad sense of a group, a social institution in which you have father, mother and children. But then when we can also have members who are not necessarily related by blood, members who are not necessarily related by marriage. For instance, in many families we have servant as a member who is residing in the same residence. So do we call them as a same family or as a kind of a biological group? Therefore, there is a kind of too much of uncertainty in terms of defining. In anthropology, the term has been used in two broad ways. The first is to very close to how we understand kinship, and that is to make reference to biology, and here we apply a broader sense of understanding. So in that definition, we'll see all descendant of a common ancestor as a family, as in a family tree. So many of a time, even in school, children are asked to draw a family tree from tracing down from the origin ancestor to the current member. So everybody, all your wider relation as well as your narrow relation of kinship, everybody who's related through biological blood relation or through marital relations are clubbed into the group of family, and that is why it is called a broader definition of family. The second way of understanding family is a narrow sense, and that kind of understands it in terms of parents living with their children as a unit. Now when we apply the broader sense and the narrow sense, we see that there is has been applied in terms of understanding the evolution of family. So in a simple or a earlier society or a pre-industrial society, the broader sense of family definition was used, where could we see members, all the brothers, fathers and father's father residing in the same residential unit. So in that sense, the size or the composition of the family was large. And then as we move towards industrial society and there is a shift towards urban and urbanization, industrialization take place, people are migrating from rural area to urban areas, and therefore the composition or the size of the family is reducing, and there the narrow sense of definition becomes significant. But at this point of time, it is very important to understand that family has been a central institution to understand social transformation, and lot of Indological or Western perspective kind of gave us an understanding that joint family is kind of disintegrating and giving way to a nuclear family. So a joint family in a broader sense of definition would be all members, all descendant from a kind of residing together, and then a nuclear family would be only father, mother and the children. Now one of the more important sociologists, A.M. Shah, tells us that this kind of an understanding is incorrect, and his study based in Gujarat in the 1950s, on the basis of the data collected, he tells us that there is no such kind of disintegration of the joint family to nuclear family. What has taken place is actually the change in the composition or change in the size of the family. So that kind of an understanding comes in only when Professor A.M. Shah differentiates family from the household. And in the course of the lecture, we will try to understand this differentiation and its relevance to understanding the structure of Indian society as well as the process of social transformation. So in anthropology, we kind of understand family is defined as a unit that comprises of people living together who are related either by blood or by marriage. In my previous lectures in kinship study, key concepts and term, I have already explained that cognate or cognatic relations are relatives who are related by blood relation. So the relation between the father and the son is a cognitic relation, whereas those who are related by marriage are kind of your agnetic relation, and therefore it could be a husband-wife relation, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law are your agnates. So when we kind of club the two kinds of relative into one group and they are kind of residing in one common residence, it comes to kind of constitute a family. In Hindi, we see like a lot of terms are used when we kind of say kutum, graha, kula, vansh, parivar. There are kind of very thin line of distinction between these terms. But all of these terms have been clubbed together and referred to as family in English. And therefore, as a sociologist or as a student of sociology, it's very important to understand the kind of very understanding of family from a sociological perspective or from the understanding family and kinship. Now, the question arises, and that is what can come into many of our students' mind, is why do we need to study family? What is so significant in terms of studying family, or how will the study of family contribute to an understanding of society? And here kind of state that there are several reasons or several significance of the study of family. The first is that I have already explained that the definition is quite ambiguous, and it is kind of one term in English dictionary, family, which can at a vernacular level, or even if you kind of take Hindi as a language, kind of confuse in terms of different terms which are used, which would all indicate to one English term as family. So it is very important to then understand what is this family in kinship and marriage. Number two, trace the origin of family as a social institution. Now, family at one point of a time or in a simple society was considered as an economic unit, where the consumption was kind of a family based. It was a self-subsistence economy. Now, since coming in of the market and coming in of the global economy, the capitalism, the family has kind of taken a social role. So we kind of share our bond, our emotions, and therefore it is considered to understand how family from an economic institution emerged as a social institution. Number three, and what I began with in this lecture, is we need to differentiate three important concepts: family, household, and domestic group. And the objective of this lecture is to kind of by the end make a very clear distinction between the three terms which are mentioned here. So we kind of also look into why we need to study is to understand the functions of family. This again in the lecture I'll be talking about how the theories of function of family has kind of evolved from a functionalist theory to a conflict theory of family. So it is very important to understand what is the function that family as a social institution fulfills. Number five, understand changes taking place in the form of composition and structure. I just before earlier said that there is a change in the composition or the size of the family. Who are the members who are residing in the family is undergoing change with economic political changes taking place. So it's very important to understand the change. Emergence of new forms of family form. This is again very significant when we try to understand social transformation in any society. We are quite familiar that family as an institution in anthropology or sociology was considered as a biological unit. That is, it was kind of a unit which was formed on the with the institution of marriage and for the purpose of procreation. But today we see there are forms of family which does not fit into the biological model. For instance, if we have the same-sex family or the lesbian and gay family, how do we fit that into a biological model? We also have families which are formed by new reproductive technology, where the role of surrogacy, the role of egg and womb transplantation becomes very significant. So it helps us to understand that biology is not the only criteria which can be the cause for the formation of family. Next, we will look into the theoretical interpretation. Now, how has in order to understand the transformation, in understand the functions of the family and the changing role, it is very important to understand how sociologists and anthropologists have theorized it in their work, and therefore we kind of look into the different theories which has been there in our discipline to understand family, and we can make there are several, but the prominent ones are being discussed here. So the prominent schools of thought or theories for understanding family are functionalism, conflict theory, symbolic interactionism, and a feminist perspective. So, in a way, it is also kind of the change in the nature of the discipline per se. So, initially, where sociology as a discipline emerged, especially at the time of an industrial revolution and social transformation taking place, and the composition of the family was changing. So, the theories started kind of documenting what are the functions that the institutions of family is evolving. Then, as a critique of functionalists, there were scholars who started saying that it's not only cooperation which is taking place in the family, it can also be a space for conflict. And then coming in with the symbolic interactionism, and by 70s, 80s, 90s, we see that the androcentric bias in the understanding of family, where family was considered as emotional, family was considered as for a kind of affective function, the feminist interpretation comes in and tries to question the entire socialization model that was built in by the functionalist theory. So, I will now go into a brief discussion of each of these four schools of thought in order to understand the institution of family. So, first we go into the functionalist theory, and we know that the functionalists, they focus on the structural property. They basically, it is a structural functional school of thought, whereby they look into the structures as part whole relation, and each part is kind of constituent of the whole. So, each part has a specific function to play for the maintenance of the whole, and that is what the functionalists are trying to do. And in an attempt to understand family from a functionalist perspective, they are kind of an opinion that they kind of performs a number of positive functions. It's very important to keep in mind that for the functionalists, the family is a cooperating unit, and they are kind of only giving us the positive functions that the family was kind of playing. They regard society as a system made up of different parts which depend on each other. So, the family is only a part of the larger unit. So, we can have religion, education, economy and polity, and it's kind of contributing to the functioning of all the others. One of the main functionalists in anthropology was Ratcliffe Brown, whose classical understanding of family marriage among the African system is part of the syllabus of all anthropology and sociology, especially in the syllabus on family and marriage. So, here he sees that he was trying to understand the family from a structural functional perspective, and also when he is trying to understand the kinship system, he is giving us how the kinship terminology or the terms that we use for every members of the society performs a structural functions for society. Similarly, he has highlighted a number of functions that the institution of family perform. Another anthropologist was Murdoch, and for him, the nuclear family was a universal feature of all human society. That is, the significance was being given to the nuclear family, which he said that is a universal feature. Why? Because whether there is a kind of joint family or the compound family exists or not, for sure the nuclear family is going to be found in all societies. So, now let us look at some of the functions as given by the functionalist theory, and as kind of I have already said that biology is one of the point of reference for understanding family. So, all the first functions that is performed by the family is biological, and it provides legitimate platform for two adult members to sexually cohabit together as a couple and enhance social continuity. That is, it is an institution which gives legitimate membership to individual. Family is considered as an institution for the purpose of reproduction and kind of bringing in members to the society, and therefore, this is the one of the crucial functions performed by family. It's but obvious that we realize that most of us need to go back to the family after work, after all the hard day work, and even after kind of people who are staying away from family. So, therefore, the family is also a place to provide shelter, and it gives us all our basic requirement of food, clothing and emotional needs and rest in terms of the connect that an individual kinds of builds with the members of their own family. It also acts as an economic unit, but this kind of an economic unit, which I already said in the beginning, is kind of changing. Earlier, the family was the unit of production. All production was taking place in the family, so every member was the constituent worker who was contributing for production. And production was for self-consumption. It was not being sent to the market for consumption. Now, there has been a change. Family is no longer the unit of production. The production is taking place in factory. But yet, it can be an economic unit, because many of us, as we are growing up, are dependent on our economic need on our parents. So, that is why family is described as an economic unit for the members of the society. Next function is it is an institution which actually initiates division of labor in society. Though the division of labor that takes place on the basis of gender in terms of the domestic work and the public work is also subject to criticism by a number of feminists, but then it is kind of a division of labor which is based on age. First is based on age. So, the younger members of the family are not necessarily doing it the same kind of physical labor that the senior members of are doing. Second is gender, where there is a kind of a gender division of labor in terms of the tasks to be done in terms of domestic work, and the understanding or assumption was that men are bread earners, and therefore this idea that the men would go out and earn money. But this gender division of labor within the family is the base on which feminist theory of family begins. So, what is important is to understand that it is also, division is also based on competency. Some members are kind of more competent and can contribute more than the others. So, that division is also there in the family. The next theory is conflict theory. Now, for those who of us are familiar with the discipline of sociology, we know that the conflict theory is attributed to Karl Marx, who kind of based his economic determinist theory and kind of gave a theory of a conflict between the capitalist class and the working class. Now, the conflict theories who are trying to understand family are using a Marxian perspective to understand family, whereby they are looking into the inequality, or they are looking in terms of access to resources, and therefore they say that family is a space or a unit in which unequal distribution of power and interest, and we look into conflict theory, we'll see that gender division within the family is kind of conflicting, whereas kind of resources would be given to men members over the female members. So, that's a conflict of interest which the conflict theories are highlighting. They look at the family's function with society as structures inequality. So, just as kind of a Marxian understanding of class is based on unequal access to means of production, the family would be seen as an institution in which there are structural inequality inhibited in the family, and that further perpetuates that inequality in a very profound manner. And that is what is the difference between the functionalist and the conflict. The functionalists are looking at family only from a positive, as a cooperative unit, whereas the conflict theories are telling us that it is a unit of inequality, it is a unit of stratification. So, that helps us to understand family from different perspective. The symbolic interactionism is a social theory that focuses on the analysis of pattern of communication, interpretation, adjustment between individuals in relations to the meaning of symbols. Now, again, to go back to the discipline of sociology, the symbolic interactionism comes in as a kind of an understanding that society cannot be observed or could not be studied as an object out there. It has to be understood and interpreted as in the way of everyday action, the way people are relating to each other, the way people are responding to one another. And that is what comes into the understanding of family, that family cannot be seen as a fixed unit. It cannot be seen as a static unit that's not changing. Rather, every kind of interactions that takes place, every kind of communication that takes place between members of the family are kind of very critical in terms of understanding the family as an institution. This perspective, that is the symbolic interactionism, they emphasize family reinforce and rejuvenate bonds through symbolic mechanism, rituals, such as family meals and holidays. And now this symbolic interactionism, or kind of attaching a symbolic meaning to the institution of family, has become very relevant in contemporary society. You know, now that the size of the families in terms of composition is smaller, but yet we kind of see, and this is what the argument given by Professor A.M. Shah as well, that when there is a feast or there is a celebration in the family, though we may be staying in different geographical part, we make it a point to kind of assemble together. Now the symbolic meaning of that assembling is that it is a family. It is a unit which may be residing in different geography, may be residing in US, in India, or different parts of the city, but yet it is a united, and it is this point of time when you have a festival or a celebration or a marriage where you kind of symbolically kind of connect to the members of the family. So this is perspective kinds of help us understand even the size and composition of family and transformations that's taking place. The symbolic interactionism also explores the changing meaning attached to family. They argued that shared activities help to build emotional bonds among family members, and that marriage and family relations are based on negotiated meaning. So we kind of have an emotional bond which kind of understand. If also in terms of, if we look into the Indian society, kind of marriage is not to be considered as a union of two individuals. It is rather considered as kind of two families, two community coming together, and therefore there are a lot of symbolic meaning attached to it. And when we kind of elaborate this understanding, the family institution of marriage also helps us to understand caste relation, how the family would not kind of celebrate marriage outside the caste. It's also a question of class. So these interrelations or intersectionalities needs to be kept in mind while understanding the institution of family. The fourth theory or the school of thought is feminist perspective. Now, as I've already said, that in the beginning, the family, on the initial classical theory, from the functionalist perspective, family was considered as indispensable social institution. A lot of value was attached to family, and therefore it was considered that you could not do away with that family. It was based on cooperation, harmony. All the positive side of the family was kind of understood. The feminist kind of brings a critique of this family as an indispensable unit, and the argument that has been given is that most of the functionalist or structuralist interpretation of family were basically done by men themselves, and therefore since they were kind of the power taker, or they were in the on the dominant position, they kind of represented their own picture, and the women were kind of subordinate, or they were part of that inequality that was taking place, and therefore it was not kind of highlighted in this study. It is a feminist study who tried to understand that the women's experience, their women's agency in the family has been neglected in the discipline of most social sciences, and therefore they started challenging the vision of family as cooperative, harmonious, in egalitarian realm. They sought to show that rather than being a mutually beneficial institution, maintained on equal contribution of all members, the family functions largely with the exploitations of women labor. Now, if I can elaborate this understanding of women's labor exploitation, this is kind of a Marxian feminist interpretation of family. So, a Marxian understanding of society says that those who have capitalist or the capitalist owning classes are exploiting the labor of the working class, because they are on a they have the power and they are on the dominant scene. The same analogy can be applied to the women, where in a system of patriarchy, the men are in a powerful position and therefore they exploit the labor of women. And this becomes very significant when we see that the household work done in domestic sphere was considered not as work in the sense there was no monetary compensation paid for the domestic work done by women. And it is now that we see all across the media where the work done by women is being highlighted, is by say that the work done by women is very difficult, they needs to be compensated. This kind of an understanding has come in only when we kind of critique the understanding of family as an egalitarian institution. Feminists like Marxist and functionalists argue that the family is essentially a conservative institution that functions to preserve the social order. So yes, one of the kind of functions of family is to ensure that the status quo is maintained. But then there is a difference between feminist and Marxist functional analysis, and that is that they don't agree that family performs all positive functions, and they kind of disagree with the idea that family is a cooperating unit, and they kind of support the Marxist idea that it is a kind of power game. It is a kind, and that is why we kind of see a write up by Kate Millett, that is Sexual Politics, where she understands the relationship between man and women as politics. That is, it is a interaction between those who have power and those who do not, and it is then the family is seen as a conflict institution which results in conflict, and also is kind of based on inequality. So for feminists, who are the ones who kind of appropriating labor, or who are the ones who kind of have a dominant position? A feminist understanding would say that it would be the men who are there. The argument that is being given by feminists is that they kind of preserve and support patriarchy. So they criticize mainstream theories for not recognizing existing unequal power relation within the family that helps maintain patriarchy at the cost of women's life and rights. So basically, the entire feminist school of thought is kind of trying to understand the social institution with reference to patriarchal relations as such, and in that the family is not seen as an egalitarian or a cooperative unit. So we have kind of understood the four schools of thought of a theoretical perspective, that is the functionalist, the conflict, the symbolic interactionist, and the feminist interest. Thank you.